A year ago, I reviewed Grand Theft Auto 3, and though I thought it didn't age well, I still appreciated what it did for 3D sandbox video games and bringing me back into the world of games. As you can see, it didn't do my life any better. I do plan to review every Grand Theft Auto game, but for now, let's talk about a Grand Theft Auto parody, Retro City Rampage. Now, this game actually has a lot of history. The creator, Brian Provinciato, was originally going to make a retro remake of Grand Theft Auto 3 for the NES, but as he was putting more and more references to video games of his childhood, he decided to make an entire game out of that, rather than a remake. And after 5 years, mostly on his own, I would say that he has succeeded. Now, I am a fan of the Grand Theft Auto series. I've played quite a few of them, and hell, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still one of my favorite games ever. And I'm interested in playing some of the non-GTA-like games, like Watch Dogs, Mafia, and Scarface. So, Retro City Rampage will be the first among them. But interestingly, this game is not like the 3D ones, no. It's more like the first PS1 2D games. And I'm not very familiar with those. The only one I've ever put any time to is Chinatown Wars, that was really good. The game takes place in Theftropolis, and you play as the player. Yeah, his parents hated him, who after seeing a wanted ad, works for the Jester, a mad criminal that blasts any minion that inconveniences him with a rocket launcher. After an unsuccessful bank heist, the player steals a time machine from two metalheads and flings them into the future of 20XX, meaning it takes place either before or after Undertale, or during. You decide. Game theory! The player meets Doc Chuck, an obvious reference to Doc Brown from Back to the Future, who agrees to help him rebuild the time machine, and so, player begins his journey filled with parodies, references, and Phil Fish. Yes. And that's the plot. You gotta get back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass. You do a bunch of missions for parodies of characters from the 80s and 90s, and it works. It's an affectionate parody of the media of those time periods, with it only referencing recent events a grand total of probably a few times. It doesn't reference meme, which I appreciate, considering a lot of indie games fall into the trap of referencing fucking Grumpy Cat. But this game references classic video games and movies, so it will probably hold up for years to come since those are still classics. The highlight of the game is honestly the corrupt video game publishers that desire only money and literally get hard from screwing over game developers. Brian had something to say about publishers, and boy oh boy, did he take the piss out of them. This game is genuinely pretty funny. You know, it doesn't go for, hey, remember the 80s? Here's the 80s. Lift it. No, instead, it actually takes these references and, makes jokes with them. And, some of them don't land, but, a lot of them were really funny. Like, when the player meets his future self, they make, like, a 69 joke. And then, at the very beginning of the game, it's like a big Mega Man 2 reference, the reference to the intro. And then it turns into, like, Duck Hunt. That thing. And then it has the Toasty guy, and it has an odd reference to the Dark Knight's bank robbery. You know how they use those buses? And then the player has to rob a convenience store. It's to run for the police, the Ninja Turtles, the A-Team, and it just ramps up from there. I have to say, the jokes are probably the best part of this game's journey, and they're the major reason why I was able to go so far into this game. I know it's odd to talk about the graphics and music so early, but since the bulk of this script is my complaints, it would be better to get them out of the way now. Now, the graphics are pretty great for a game going for the 8-bit aesthetic. I don't really have much to say since it's 8-bit, it does what it does it well, but it doesn't really go beyond that. And I have a few complaints. I found the overabundance of blue in the overworld to be displeasing. It's not obnoxiously blue, but I wish there were different colors to make the areas feel more distinct. Some of the character portraits are also, you alright, guy? Oh man. Did you eat some shrimp? The doc is probably the worst. What's going on with your face? Are they going for this picture of Doc Brown? You can also change how the game looks by changing the ratio to look like it's running on a tube TV. Hell, you can even make it look like a Game Boy with black and white colors. No thank you. Now the music was really good. Second time Jake Kaufman's music has been in this season, and I am glad to hear it again. I really don't have much to comment on the music. I can't really deeply analyze it. This is a tangent, but I want to get better at deconstructing and analyzing video game music. My senpais, Boku no Eruption and Pan Pizza, are great at that, and I want to do more about video game music rather than just say, hey guys, this song was good, it was pretty dang good. You should go listen to it. A few years ago, Satchel Like a Bag Drake made a Chrono Cross video, where he commented that most internet reviewers don't know how to talk about the music beyond saying, it's good. For whatever reason, this stuck with me, and I've always thought if I did video game reviews, I want to be sure I talk about the music in detail. And I think I do an okay job. I'm not great at music theory, but I will still try. Tangent aside, Retro City Rampage music is great. It's a mix of hard rock, metal, some techno in there. It's great. I could have just said it's Jake Kaufman and the same meeting would have been made. The gameplay. It's Grand Theft Auto, surprisingly, beats Ikari Warriors with a little bit of elements of Super Mario Bros. The player has the ability to jump on enemies and citizens, and later on has the ability to ground pound, which was the third best attack in the game after the shotgun and the rocket launcher, but we'll get to those later. There are about 24 weapons in the game, ranging from simple melee weapons to grenades and molotovs, and of course, guns. A pistol, an Uzi, a shotgun, a flamethrower, and a bazooka. My favorite. Retro City Rampage actually uses grenades in a way I wish more games did. Instead of tossing a grenade and then exploding after 2 seconds of uncertainty, you throw the grenade and BOOM! It made me use grenades a lot more than I use them in other GTA games. Does anyone actually use these things? They're more unreliable than me attempting a consistent video schedule. The player controls about as well as he could in this sort of game. I never had any problems, except for one. But we will get to that later. But to be honest, I still think Hawaiian control a bit better in Chinatown Wars. But that's more likely to do with Chinatown Wars being a modern DS PSP game, while RCR is attempting to be an NES game. Still though, controls are pretty good. The car controls do feel pretty dang good, and unlike GTA where I would never drive any other car than a sports vehicle, all the cars are good. Their speed is fairly high, it doesn't take long to get anywhere, and they are fun to drive, and they're great at just bulldozing their way through traffic. It's way better. I had more fun driving than I did in GTA 5. All the cars were pretty good. In fact, I think this is much better than GTA 5. Sure, GTA 5 has hundreds of cars, millions, fucking billions. But you're only going to pick the fastest car because literally every other car is garbage. Now, it wouldn't be a parody of GTA if you couldn't drive on the sidewalk and run over thousands of innocent people. And oh boy, yes you can. I know I keep comparing the game to GTA, but it's kind of asking for it, since it started as a remake of GTA 3. But anyway, this, once again, does it much better. I mean, running over people is one of the best things to do in Grand Theft Auto, but it seems the series doesn't want you to do that as it's gone on. I mean, GTA 5 even seems to discourage this aspect of its own gameplay, with extremely aggressive AI for the police and the people looking very realistic, so it makes you feel bad for killing them. But in this game, they're just pixels, so I can kill them without the horrible nightmares plaguing me every time I go to bed! I haven't slept in years. One really cool thing they did that GTA should do is that you can pick up money while you're mowing down people. I'm sure I'm not the only one who was sad that you couldn't get money for killing the innocent. Why are you all looking at me like that? I don't have a problem. And now, the guns. The guns shoot, and the people die. But you gotta aim, and this is my one complaint. There's a way for a player to aim while he's running away from enemies. He is capable of running backwards and shooting. You just have to keep in mind while enemies are shooting you, turn around, aim your gun, and start running backwards to shoot. It got a little annoying, and I imagine this game will be infuriating for a no-damage run. It certainly was bothersome, but not sure how they could have fixed it. Well, they did fix it, technically. See, if you push the right control stick in any direction, the player will shoot. And yeah, this fixes the problem. But for me, if it's a 2D/pixel game, I stick with a D-pad. I'm weird like that, I'm sorry. The guns are also pretty good. The Uzi replaced the pistol very quickly, and the shotgun was amazing. It's kind of surprising there wasn't an assault rifle, but there was the bazooka. It isn't a short-range weapon, but for every other range, it's simply perfect, unless it misses. The melee weapons aren't bad either. There was the sword and shield you got midway through the game that were pretty good, and punching was a surprisingly viable option. Jumping and ground pounding was still pretty good, especially when you got the shockwave after a radioactive plumber bit the player. So how hard is this game? Besides for a few parts, I think it's pretty challenging. Not necessarily hard. However, there are quite a few points where I think the game is unfair. To give you a little hint, in my first playthrough, I died 100 times. Sounds like a lot, but most of these deaths were from the endgame missions where they just threw enemies that had rocket launchers. Fuck those guys. Introduced new gameplay that you were not used to and then never used again, and the bosses were more frustrating than challenging, and it kind of pissed me off, especially the Smash TV portion. We'll talk about that later. I have some other things to say. So for the most part, this video has been discussing the good parts of this game, while also bringing up little nitpicks or problems that I had, which would naturally come up in any game. However, from this point onward, we're going to be discussing the real problems, and in fact, how this game falls apart at the end. And this game falls apart pretty damn hard. Let's go. So remember how I alluded to a problem with how the player controls? Well, here comes the explanation. See, when he starts moving, he needs to start picking up speed before he can begin running. I can understand that you don't want to run all the time, but when I'm trying to get away from cops, it would help if we would start immediately running. Maybe a run button would help. Really, the biggest problem this game has is when it's attempting to replicate those video games of the 80s, as there are numerous times where new gameplay features are introduced and never touched on again. I'm not sure if they're used in side missions because I never touched them. What? I don't complete games. I don't have a beard. But it's kinda irritating that you need to learn new gameplay only to never go back to it again. The worst example was when you needed to get into the villain's lair by killing enemies and throwing their corpses into the river. Thank God it's 8-bit, or else this game would have been rated M. Another example was the final boss, where you're playing a shooter and Rad Racer. What's kind of funny is you can turn 3D on and instantly get your retinas burned. Keep in mind that you've never controlled this within the context of the game, and while it's fairly simple to control, it's a car, you're also fighting the final boss. It's meant to be difficult, but we have never controlled this car. Game. It's like when your dad teaches you how to swim by throwing you in the pool, except your dad's a psychopath and he throws you into the shark-infested waters with lasers, for good measure. For the sake of referencing a game or movie, it introduces new gameplay that, more often than not, isn't gonna show up again. And sometimes it is decent, but a lot of the time it's not great. I get what the guy was going for. And you know what? It's humorous. It got a chuckle out of me a few times. But at the end of the day, I'm judging the game as a game and not as a joke. And as a game, these parts are great. And some of them are pretty bad. I've been bottling this up for the whole review. That's it. Rage mode. Now it's time for a real scream! There's only one place I can go to take out my rage. Hi. Hey, what soda do you want?
I want a large lemonade.
I would like a large lemonade and a large Sprite.
A large lemonade and a large Sprite, or a large Sprite?
A what? This game design don't work. Let's get back to the review. I feel better now. Holy shit, the section of the game that is a big homage to Smash TV. Oh my motherfucking god! That part of the game fucking sucked. Especially the last section where you're fighting dudes with rocket launchers, and if you die just once, then you restart the whole room, and there's no room to fight because some jackass I thought it would be funny to have some parts of the room to have fire, severely limiting the amount of room you have to fight the enemies. And these enemies take like 2 rockets in the face before they die! I swear to God, this was my least favorite part of the game. And being honest, I wrote this review so I could bitch about this. And it made me rage quit, and very rarely do I rage quit, unless the game is being extremely bullshit. And I despise the fire mechanics of the game. In the normal GTA games, when you're setting a fire, you lose like a lot of health. I hate it there too, but fucking whatever, it's fine, whatever. It's bullshit. Fuck you, Rockstar. But in this game, you gotta find a fire hydrant, and if you don't, death, die, death, I'm dead! Fire! Do you tell from my voice that this is anger? This is rage. The rocket's range of explosion is too damn big, like me. I am salty while writing this script because I despise this part of the game. It was bullshit, and the room was too small. It was enraging. They take 2 rockets, and then they'll die. I hate Smash TV. If there's any saving grace to this, is that the checkpoints are frequent. I'll give it that. Brian, you had some form of mercy. Thank you, but fuck you. I hate you so much, but I'm really looking forward to the next game. I love it. Retro City Rampage is a game I'm conflicted on. One hand, you have what is a really great game that replicates the GTA formula very well. On the other hand, you have gameplay sections that hold your progress, and if you're not a fan of the sections, then you either power through it, or you put it down and play something else. I enjoyed the game, but I do find it hard to recommend to people who don't have a lot of patience. And you know what, thank God that checkpoints are plentiful, because I would have thrown this game out the fucking door a long time ago. If you're willing to put up with frustrating gameplay gimmicks, you will find a great game. But if you don't, that's fine. And if all you want is unlimited chaos in an 8-bit setting, you might have fun with free mode, where you can go crazy and prevent overpopulation. But if you're interested, it is on quite a bit of platforms. It's on WiiWare, it's on the PC, it's on 3DS, PS4, PS Vita, Xbox 360, but not the Xbox One, which is kind of weird, it's not on there. Anyway, Prime Provinciano also has another game out for us called Shakedown Hawaii. I'm probably going to give the game a look, and I might make a video for it. I'm not sure yet. But so far, it seems it'll be like a mix-up of Grand Theft Auto, SimCity, Harvest Moon, you know, all of that. It does look real nice. The shooting seems a lot more refined, and oh my, the graphics, they look so good. They look real nice. I'm looking forward to it. But developers, just letting you know this. Please put it for the Xbox One. Give those Xbox users some love, because it's only come out for everything except the Xbox One. This is some Xbox racism. Next time we'll be looking at the Grand Theft Auto games, we'll be looking at Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Not next, though. It's going to be a little bit of time before we look at this game, but I do have quite a bit to say about it, so look forward to that. Next game I'm going to be looking at is a little shooter you might not all have been aware of. And so, I hope you all enjoy that, and I will see you soon. I can't snap my fingers, so I'm just doing this.